The search for Summer Moon-Wells still continues. Summer turned 7 years old on 4th February, and on the 15th of June, which was the second year anniversary that Summer was reported missing.
They can get that can lead them to Summer Wells as the search does continue. Last year, on the 1-year anniversary of her missing, TBI said they'd received close to 2,000 tips, 2,000 different leads that they continue to follow up on each and every one when searching for Summer. She went missing on June 15th of 2021. Hard to believe, here we are just 600 days later. Still, no new information. It's been a while since we've had any new information in the search for Summer Wells. One of the things we did get to do to mark the year since she went missing was talk to her father, Don Wells. Our Erica Lunsford went with him to their property as the search for Summer continues to see a little bit of what her life was like there and hear from Don himself. Take a listen.
So we'd get on them a lot, and so you can't do that, but it just, you know, we'd always find it open a lot of times and stuff. So we tried to control that, but to know, you know, they couldn't control it 100% of the time.
Don Wells tells me Summer was last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her 3 older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the basement door, and Don Wells at work.
We don't know if someone was waiting in the basement or if she come outside here and went to the swing. All we know is she went down the basement.
Wells says he believes someone was lurking at the top of the dog trail, just feet away from the basement door. He says the predator somehow managed to snatch Summer, then raced down the steep hill as she struggled.
I guess she was going to walk down through here.
The trail was not an easy walk. To get down the rugged hill, Wells and I had to hold on to trees. I struggled not to trip or even fall on tree roots.
And the slide a little bit.
So the dogs kind of came down this trail here?
Yeah.
It's pretty steep.
Yeah. I didn't know the dogs even had a trail down through here until the police dogs followed it all the way to the road.
Will says he overheard authorities say search dogs followed Summer's scent down the trail to the road before losing it. He painted a vivid picture of a kidnapping, telling me a neighbor likely heard Summer scream.
I think whoever grabbed her probably had her mouth covered, and I think she was gasping for air by the time she got down through here somewhere, because our neighbor heard a scream, a really funny scream. I think they just carried her to a vehicle and threw her in there and took her somewhere far away from here.
Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson has not publicly commented on specifics of the case until now. I asked Sheriff Lawson about Wells' claims. Did dogs follow Summer's scent down the trail to the main road? The sheriff says yes.
The dogs had a pretty good trail on track for a little while, but then it disappeared. But they lost scent it when they come to the road. And sometimes canines, they will lose the scent when it changes different type, where it maybe went from the gravel to the pavement.
And did a neighbor hear a scream?
Best I recall, it's been a couple months ago. I think it was unfounded.
Wells tells me the family home on Ben Hill Road is surrounded by drug dealers and buyers.
You get all kinds, you know, with the drug trade, and we've seen quite a bit of stuff surrounding the meth thing. We parked in our neighbors caught them parked at our road in our driveway in the middle of the night or early in the morning and stuff like that, and run them off, and they get mad, and neighbors came, and we've had quite a bit of problems.
But Sheriff Lawson tells me Wells lives on a quiet street.
I've heard rumors of, you know, there is maybe a drug dealer on that road, but it's just like anywhere there. Ben Hill Road is no different than any other roads in Hawkins, Sullivan, or any other county, as far as even Knox County. We all have drug problems, but no, that's not that problem. That's not correct either.
It's not like a hot spot.
No, it's not a hot spot. And it's a dead-end road, so there's very little traffic, if any.
Don Wells says he doesn't know why anyone would take his daughter but isn't shocked by the disappearance of a child.
There's a lot of missing children.
But Sheriff Lawson says children don't just go missing, especially in Hawkins County.
No, ma'am, we don't have any missing children.
At Summer's Hilltop home, Wells showed me a refrigerator he says Summer played on.
I don't know what else she did. What in the world is that? There's a lot of missing children.
But Sheriff Lawson says children don't just go missing, especially in Hawkins County.
No, ma'am, we don't have any missing children.
At Summer's Hilltop home, Wells showed me a refrigerator he says Summer played on.
I don't know what else she did. What in the world is that?
That is the reason I never believe the parents. It's not just the way they're conducting themselves in this case, not searching for their 5-year-old daughter, but when the sheriff of Hawkins County, who's been the sheriff for 40 years and is re-elected, says that doesn't believe that abduction has happened, then I would definitely believe him. Don Wells has this habit of manipulating words, sentences used. He clearly told the reporter he overheard law enforcement saying that they were dog trails, the scent. But you heard Sheriff Ronnie Lawson saying that the scent stopped down the hill. Let's not forget Summer and her brothers live up the hill and they play near the dog trails and around their property. So the scent of Summer would have been around the property no matter what. So within the first couple of hours, if Summer's scent was found near the dog trail, by the cadaver dogs, that could just possibly mean that Dawn or whoever was involved in whatever happened to Summer could have used that part to go down and take Summer, carry Summer down there.
In every lead that they could. Here's a little bit of that timeline, a little bit of what happened when she went disappeared on June 15th, 2021. It's now been 600 days since that Amber Alert was issued by the TBI. She went missing from the Ben Hill Road area of Hawkins County. You heard from the Sheriff Ronnie Bell there talking about this is a very remote area. Not a lot of activity happens, so that's where they're kind of at a loss, is trying to figure out where did she go. They followed that scent down to the road from the dogs and then nothing. Once they go from dirt to pavement or kind of mix different types of materials is when the dogs have a real tough trouble keeping up with that scent. The TBI Hawkins County deputies are continuing.
The district attorney general about prosecutions. But what happens when there's nothing to prosecute?
Tonight, we continue our investigation into finding out what happened to Summer Wells. Ansley Daniels spoke with District Attorney General Dan Armstrong in his first interview about the case and what his role is almost 10 months in when no one has been charged.
On the night of June 15th, District Attorney General Dan Armstrong called in the TBI to help with the search for Summer Wells in the Beach Creek community. Now, as the 10-month mark is approaching, his role is looking ahead to the possibility of charges.
It's a case that has implications of the legal system and the law, but you couldn't classify it right now as there's no criminal charges been filed.
Summer's older brothers were put into CPS custody last July, but no charges have been filed over their removal. However, their father, Don Wells, is serving time in the Hawkins County Jail over DUI and violation of probation charges.
This is a very complicated issue that has been made more complicated by the players in this drama. The players in this drama.
No one has been arrested or charged in relation to the little girl's disappearance, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen at some point.
We make ourselves available to both the Sheriff's Office and the TBI to advise them as to the consequences of the next step that they're proposing to take and how we can do it to where if there is eventually a prosecution, it'll be what they gather will be something that would be that we can introduce in the court. Make sure we cover all those bases.
If an arrest ever does take place, that's when Armstrong will look at what charges can be filed.
If it ever got to the point where we were ready to consider charges, then of course they would talk to me about what charges and who to charge. And a case like this would generally go to a grand jury if it ever got to that point.
I was reading the other day about Tennessee's grand jury, and they do have charges for child negligence, child endangerment, child abuse, and certain things like that. So I wonder if they're building a case behind the scenes, and if these two parents would end up serving time. Because it doesn't seem like there's any remorse or any empathy from both CANDUS and Dawn. They're 24/7 in addictions, up on YouTube panels, part of drama instead of being part of a solution to find their child.
And on the Summer Wells Amber Alert case, News Channel 5's Nick Barris is in the 5 Alert Center. Nick, the big question is, after 9 days, has that led to any new leads?
You know, Amy, the TBI now says that they have received more than 300 tips over more than a week, and none of them, not a single one yet, has panned out as being credible. The search, of course, does continue. It did overnight, and again this morning. There are now more than 80 agencies from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina, all searching nearly a 6-square-mile area around the home where Summer disappeared in Hawkins County, Tennessee. That was last Tuesday. Now, authorities have tried everything, searching from the ground and air, using canine units, conducting roadblocks, and even asking the public to search their properties. Now, I can tell you that they have found no traces of Summer, and more of the focus, my understanding, is turning toward the possibility of foul play as opposed to her maybe wandering off into the woods there. They hope for more tips, we should say, and they may come, especially now that the reward for information is topping, Amy, $50,000.
This clip is 9 days after Summer Moon YouTubers was reported missing, and you can clearly see that they were moving forward with this tragedy of foul play. Donald Wells makes up his stories. CANDUS doesn't even talk. It's Dawn that runs the scripts and everything. This is proper foul play. This poor girl hasn't been found in over 2 years. 2 years and 3 weeks now.
To work to find answers. Tonight, Ansley Daniels in the Beach Creek community with a timeline of June 15th, 2021, leading up to that night.
We've walked you through what has happened since Summer Wells disappeared the night of June 15th. But for the first time, we walk you through that day with her mother and grandmother from their perspective just hours before she was reported missing.
Candace and I got up that morning. She came out and took me into the ER because my leg was messing up on me.
The hospital is about 25 minutes from the Wells Beach Creek home in Kingsport.
She took me into the hospital, and I ended up getting a shot for it to get rid of the pain.
This is Summer Wells's grandmother. Summer's mother, Candace, drove her mother to the Walmart to get her medications, but first to the emergency room at 8 a.m. in the morning to get knee shots for inflamed knee.
I ended up getting a shot for it to get rid of the pain, and they prescribed me medication.
Summer, her mother, and grandmother spent the day in the closest city to their house.
Then we waited around for my prescription. Summer went swimming that day at the horse stables, I believe it was.
We were waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens on Fort Henry.
The three, along with a friend that Candace describes as a minor, then came swimming here at Warriors Path State Park. It's where the last known video of Summer was taken and then posted to TikTok.
We had to wait for Mom's prescription at Walgreens, so we just went up to Warriors There was all kinds of trash everywhere at Warriors when we showed up. And I let Summer out to play. And we just stood there for about 15, 20 minutes. And then we all got back in the truck and we got Mom's prescription. And I took him home. And then we came home.
And so then Summer came back here with you later that afternoon, right?
Yes.
The trip from Warriors Path back to Ben Hill Road is just over 17 miles. But Bly couldn't recall how many hours that was before she reported her daughter missing.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
The three then returned here to their home on Ben Hill Road. A neighbor says that she first heard Candace calling for Summer around 6 o'clock that night. Police say that she was reported missing around half an hour later, around 6:30. In the Beach Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News. But Bly couldn't recall how many hours that was before she reported her daughter missing.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
Oh my God. Sorry, this clip was really important. I've only seen it once 2 years ago. This part of the interview, because they did not show this. Candace was asked, how long did it take before she called the police? And she said she couldn't remember because time goes quickly when you're having fun. Candace Bly, did it take you 4 hours, 5 hours, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 hours? How long did it take you to call the police? So this is really a red flag.
But Bly couldn't recall how many hours that was before she reported her daughter missing.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
Is it possible that something happened to Summer that Candace knows about that's not her fault, but she is just nervous now and feeling bad about it?
Well, no, because she knows better. She would know to go directly to law enforcement. An accident's one thing. She would never do something like that. She knows better than that. I know it happens. It does happen with people, but no, she would go directly to law enforcement. She'd call an ambulance right away, number one, do anything. She would freak out.
Could she have gotten herself into a situation where it wasn't her fault, but...
No.
You know what I mean?
No. She's a good mother. She loves her children. She's not going to allow any situation like that. The biggest mistake she might have made is maybe she was in some wrong friends, which is, it happens.
Summer doesn't look very happy there. And that's how short Candace cut her hair. She's got long hairs there, shoulder length. But you can see Summer's 2 brothers' hair. And that's how short Summer's hair was too. She's made to look like a boy. I wonder for what purpose. This is Donald, Summer's father, his oldest son. So that should be Summer's oldest brother, although they didn't grow up together. He's around 33, 34 years old. He has a lengthy criminal history too, just like Donald Wells and Candace and Donald Wells's ex-wife. This is Don Jr. His step-aunties, that's Donald's stepsisters, have said that live on YouTube panels that he tried to sell Don Jr., the father tried to sell him when he was a kid, and the mother had to go and save her son. And I believe it's important to look at his criminal record because it gives you a bit of a case profile of Summer's father, brother. They all have a lengthy record of sexual assaults, trigger warning, and especially with children. We know that Dawn Wells' stepsisters have filed a federal court in Utah and 5 other women because of his past behaviors. His stepsister was only 5 years old when he was molesting and trigger warning and all these things, and he has no remorse or accountability. He said that live on his interviews that they were playing house. That's the way he sees things, and this is part of mental health therapy, a mental health illness. Dawn Wells never seems to be taking accountability, remorse. He has no empathy, nothing. He has a lengthy criminal record, so does his oldest son. His ex-wife has a couple of records that has been shown many times by different YouTube creators of being arrested for meth and serious drugs. So when Dawn Wells tries to act like a saint and says that he's only involved with church people, that is a lie. He's trying to fool the new people who are new to this case. That's why it's very important. That's why I'm showing you all clips from the past so that you'll understand exactly who Dawn Wells is. Don't let him and CANDUS fool you. Abductions can happen, but when you're sheriff of your own county and the TBI believes that foul play is involved, then we should believe them. They know better what happens in the county. So you can see this, sexual indecency. You can continue reading it. He was convicted on the 2nd of August 2007 in Arkansas. That is exactly where CANDUS and Dawn Wells are now, in Arkansas, although we heard that they've gone back to Tennessee. He was released 3 years later, and he's been back to jail on other records. A new arrest for him in Utah Department of Corrections. So I think it's the parole officer.
Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We thought we would take a few minutes to update you on the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells. As you know, she was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County on June 15th. Unfortunately, there are still more questions than answers, but we haven't given up, and we won't. Agents and detectives with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office continue to work daily to determine what happened to Summer.
We're still looking, we're still searching, we're still following tips. And one thing that we need to do is preserve the integrity of this case, because we can't tell everything we're doing. We can't tell everything we know. And a lot of stuff that we had called on, we've already done several times.
We want to urge you only to share information from official sources. The misinformation and speculation simply don't help the case. Our teams continue to sift through hundreds of tips, and it turns out most of them are rooted in rumors and bad information spread on social media.
Did Summer Moon Utah Wells fall from these steps? Could one of her brothers accidentally, or playing a game, could have pushed her without realizing the danger, because the gray wall holders or the railings that you see was done after Summer was missing. The steps used to look that way, but the gray railings was never there. It was done a couple of months after Summer was missing, because you can see they're painting the house. This was the basement, and it didn't even have the opening for the steps. You just had to open like a door latch on top, like literally from the floor, and then you go down the steps. And they're trying to say Summer was abducted from the basement, when we know from all the people who've been to that house, like Jose, may he rest in peace, who lived in that house for a couple of months, and even the guy who works in the church, the pastor, David Dodson, said that the boys told him that the door was locked down in the basement. What did they do to poor Summer Wells? Was this human trafficking? Did Don Wells sell Summer because he couldn't pay back his drug debt, like he told the behavior panel that the TBI asked him? This was the state of the house, and that's the house. I'm not discriminating how people live, but if you see the inside of the house, you would have got really upset, because it's not about what you have, it's about how you structure your things and keep danger away from children. A 5-year-old girl and her 3 brothers, all under the age of 13 or 12, were put in this horrific situation without the Child Protection Service in Tennessee removing them immediately from this premises. This was really, really wrong.
About how authorities handled his daughter's disappearance. The 5-year-old disappeared from her home in a remote area of Hawkins County 29 days ago. Don Wells tells the Kingsport Times-News that he is 100% sure his daughter was abducted, likely by someone hiding in the woods. He also says that there is a good chance that she is not alive. He also says he's been frustrated by search efforts. Wells says it was so horrific knowing that someone abducted her, and the cops are looking all around our house knowing that she's not there. I wish the police would have blocked off both ends of Beach Creek. I can't blame them, but I'm upset. It's too little, too late now.
Is Don Wells trying to tell us that the police did not block off both ends of Beach Creek? Or is that a lie? We need to check into this. This is from 2 years ago. Don Wells has become like the boy who cried out wolf. Everything that comes out from his mouth is a lie. He's the man who said that me and CANDUS have been cleared. But we've heard Sheriff Ronnie Lawson saying that nobody's been cleared. He says that I wish the police would have blocked off both ends of Beach Creek. I can't blame them, but I'm upset. It's too little, too late now. He knows exactly what happened to Summer Wells, because up to today he still can't clarify and confirm if he was at work. Because if he was at work in Johnson City, it would have taken him at least 15 minutes to drive down. Maximum 50 minutes to an hour. And to the least it would have taken him 45 minutes, 42 minutes. So how come he managed to come there within a couple of minutes, within 25 minutes, 20 minutes? Doesn't add up.
Wells tells the paper he was so upset he couldn't take a lie detector test for 2 days after the disappearance, and that Summer's mother was made to wait 5 days before being tested. He says they passed the tests, but could still be under suspicion. This is what else Wells tells the Times News, quote, "I don't know if we were completely cleared because that's not admissible in court." At a prayer vigil for her daughter last night in Kingsport, she tells us she's hanging in there and keeping busy with her 3 boys.
Prayers for Summer Moon U12s. I hope this girl gets justice. I hope her parents get charged for abduction, or fake abduction, allegedly. They should get charged for child neglection, child endangerment, child abuse, name it. It's really sad. You can see how far the road is from there. Nobody would have just come up those trees, come up those bushes, when there is a neighborhood with many people with weapons and drugs. Donwell got himself into something, definitely, and CANDUS, because the 911 radio call said that the mother went out for a walk and when she came back, Summer was gone. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment, guys, and please be kind enough to subscribe to my new channel, Hood London Psychology and Crime. I'm really invested in Summer Moon U12s getting her justice. It's been 2 years now, and this is heartbreaking. So this is the part 2. I will be making more parts of this so that it'll be, I believe, easier for people to catch up. People who are sorry to follow this case, because we're in like 2 weeks and 1 month now since Summer's been missing. Justice for Summer, please.